Okay, you crazy coders, now that we are at the end of the class, we just need to talk about a few final things before you go running out and trying to get a job being a web developer. One very important thing we need to do is talk about file structure and file naming. This is very important, and this can be a very amateur mistake if you don't follow what I'm going to show you here. So, from the very beginning, I started alluding to and have continued to name my file index.html. Now, the reason that I do that is because a browser, when it comes to your website, needs to know what the home page is. Now, one person may name it home, another person may name it home page, or there could be a million different types of naming structures for your home page. So what the browsers have done is said, I am only going to look for the file name index.html. That way I know that is the home page. That is just a blanket statement across every single website out there. So whenever you create a home page or you create the first page that you want a browser to open up when it comes to your domain name, when your domain name gets typed in and your site comes up, you have to name it index.html. So as you can see, I've got this kind of fake website set up right here, and I've got index.html. That is my home page. Without that, if I were not have that in my file, my website would probably just not come up for anybody who was to pull up my domain name. You got to have that in there. I can't stress that enough. Again, don't name it homepage, don't name it anything else, just name it index. Another very important thing when it comes to the web is making sure that all your files are lowercase. Okay, you see I'm not using any uppercase letters here. For the most part, that's really not going to cause many issues except for with the index, and sometimes, again, depends on how your server is set up. Best practice is just to keep it all lowercase. One other major issue that comes up and that people want to do sometimes is that you need to make sure that you are not using any spaces. So you can see index, that's all just one word right there. But if I were to get into some of my other namings, maybe I wanted to create a file that was about us or contact us or my awesome portfolio. All of these you can see do not have a space. They are using another character like the underscore or the dash. This is a perfectly acceptable way of writing a web page name. You could also just as easily get rid of that underscore and just have it all be one word. It doesn't really matter. It is more helpful if you were to use a dash. That does kind of help you a little bit with SEO. The search engines, kind of like the dash, they read that as being two separate words about us. And it can help you with the rankings a little bit, whereas when you're using the underscore, it reads it all as one big word. At least that's what they're saying. So best practice is to just use a dash, but you can use a combination of both. Maybe, like in this case, my dash awesome underscore portfolio. Perfectly acceptable. Again, if you're really worried about trying to optimize your site for SEO, I would stick with dashes, but there's nothing wrong with naming it this way as long as you do not have a space in there. I can't stress that enough. No spaces in HTML. Now I've got my images folder here, and again, same exact type of naming structure you need to be careful of. Kitten.jpg, perfectly acceptable. Itty bitty kitty. If I had several words there and I wanted to separate them, I would use a dash or an underscore. No spaces, no crazy characters either. Just try to stay away from things like exclamation marks or the pound sign or the ampersand or the asterisk or question mark, things like that, because what happens is when you come to like databases and different types of programming languages, those do use those special characters and can kind of confuse the server. Again, you're probably not going to have too much of an issue with it, but it could cause issues, so just stay away from all those crazy characters.